As Vladimir Putin's assault on Ukraine continues to drag on, for many Ukrainians, a near nightly bombardment has become the norm. Russian Shahed-style drones hammer Ukrainian cities like Kiev, bringing death and destruction. But now, small groups of volunteer drone manufacturers believe they've found a solution to Vladimir Putin's deadly onslaught. And it looks like this.
So this is what we call in Ukraine an interceptor drone. Its whole purpose is to take out Russian aviation, so observation drones that are above Ukrainian cities and the Ukrainian battlefield. And we are now developing the great and powerful Shahed interceptor. This thing can rocket at hundreds of kilometers per hour. Very simply, we have teams on the ground, radar teams that tell us where the aviation is. And then they scramble a few of these interceptor drones and effectively just fly them as quickly as possible as they can towards the target. It will have a very small explosive, around about 500 grams, hand grenade. It just blows the aviation out of the sky. So very simply, the difference between a kamikaze drone and an interceptor drone is this DJI digital module on the front, and that means that we can have 30 kilometers of transmission range, 5 kilometers height. We have 4 motors, propellers, carbon fiber frame, a big Samsung battery, a capacitor, an electronic speed controller, and a flight computer, and an antenna as well. So that's everything that goes into the drone. It's relatively simple. There are lots of little secrets, which mean it's a lot better than what the Russians are producing. We can build them for just the parts cost, which is $595. And that is drone and battery. So yes, when you compare it to hundreds of thousands of dollar air defense systems or missiles, it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And the even faster Shahed interceptors, you can make for around about a thousand British pounds. So very, very affordable ways to destroy Russian aviation.
And you work quite directly with Ukrainian teams on the ground, soldiers in the military.
Yeah.
What do they make of these?
They love them. They are honestly shocked at how good we've managed to get just the video feed on the Interceptor, and we're very pernickety about it, and it almost operates as a cinematic drone now. So when the pilots on the front lines are flying with these, they're like, wow, it's so beautiful, before they hit the Russian aviation.
Richard is taking us to see his drone factory on the outskirts of Lviv. There are hundreds of other small volunteer groups like this operating in and around Ukrainian cities. In this small rented building, Frontline Kit, a group of young guerrilla drone makers, work around the clock, producing thousands of interceptor and first-person view drones that are sent directly to the front lines.
These are packed up to go out to...
Yep, to Achilles. 100 interceptors. So all of these will be our interceptors. They'll be ready, within the next week. And all of these will be taking out Russian aviation. This has got the DJI digital transmission module. So when it spots something like an Orlan or a Shahed or whatever in the sky, this will fly up to 4,000 or 5,000 meters and then look down with this positioning of the camera, spots the target, and then tilts back up and then just fly straight down towards the target. So these will be taking out the Orlans, pretty much anything that is used to spot the position of our guys. They can fly 150 kilometers per hour plus, 5 kilometers up in the air and 30 kilometers away. So you get the information from your radar team, and then you fly these out there to go and try and intercept. And if you don't intercept it, you can always come back and land it. So it's a reusable piece of tech as well. We were discussing about using these for Shahed interception in the Odessa region. Reason being is before striking the city, they all congregate out at sea. So they're doing these circles. And when they're doing these circles, they're in such a obvious position that you can literally just go out there and start picking them off. Here is our massive pile of beautiful kamikaze drones. When these 2 wires touch together, the munition explodes. So this drone will be flying towards the Russians, and then when it touches the building, the person, the tank, these 2 wires touch together, and the current goes through these wires to the destination board and straight into the munition. So that connects to whichever munition it is, normally an RPG-7, and then explodes. So it's very, very simple. Like, all you need to build drones is a soldering iron, a heat gun. I mean, you don't even need an extraction fan, but it's helpful. It takes a very small amount, and of course a cookie. You have to have a cookie to be able to build kamikaze drones. This one's currently being used for the building of electronic warfare and the finishing of batteries. Over here is we're finishing up the DJI camera modules. So we're attaching them to the 3D printed mounts that we specially make for them. And over on these couple of desks, we have the main soldering work. So that's where they're doing all of the boards. So here is where all of the carbon fiber frames and motors are put together. All of this is still made in China. Thank you to the Chinese friends of ours. But we're trying to swap over to Ukrainian carbon fiber frames and Ukrainian motors and Ukrainian every part. We get these cells out of, sometimes out of Taiwan, sometimes out of China. American company Westinghouse, but I think they actually manufacture everything in China. So as you just saw, they did the welding there, and then they solder on all of these individual points, soldering on the leveling cable, and just make sure that the whole battery is charged in a correct way. And then, yeah, just cardboard kind of package wrapping, and then this is just structural. This is very, very strong reinforced tape just to keep the battery from the cells from shifting around during flight. Frontline Kit has been a volunteer operation for, coming on 3 years now. You know, factories that are making 60,000 drones or so per month somehow can't come up with something that we could possibly do in a very small location. We have the team that wants to do it, that is always just looking and going, how do we experiment? How do we do something? And I think it's probably because they're volunteers, they also want to do fun stuff, come up with the new thing rather than just repeatedly building the same drone. It's like, oh, well, what if we did this? And there's a lot of creativity and excitement and thinking about what will be the next thing and, yeah, how we can get around the Russian jamming.
So this room is?
Tim's innovation room, I'll call it. So this one's for Shahed interception rather than basic UAVs like the Orlans. So this will go faster. Ideally, at some point, we can get one that will be going 300 kilometers per hour. Everyone's working to just make them faster and faster and faster. Ideally, you'd be putting some explosives inside of it, about 500 grams. Just to be able to blow it out of the sky. Multi-frequency drones on multiple frequencies. And this little thing on top is our little GPS module.
This is programmed in autopilot. It flies autonomously, so it doesn't get interference from motors or batteries. This is why it has like a tree on it.
This is Bumblebee, which is our new dual drop bomber. So they press a button on the remote, and this little thing that drops out, made by a man in a cupboard. I'm not even joking, a little Ukrainian man in a cupboard. He actually plastic injection molds these mounts and sells them to us.
And it occurs to me, you know, having seen all the kit you've got here, that you're kind of constantly trying to modify, add things, change frequencies and things like that. There's almost sort of a race to kind of keep these things up to date, is there?
Yeah, it's a frequency war. And up until now, most of the video transmitters have been on very, very standard frequencies, which everyone knows and operates on, and that's why these drone jammers do work. But now we're coming up with revolutionary new like video transmitter technology, which means that we can operate on frequencies that the Russians can't right now. And it means that therefore our drones can sail straight through their jamming into a tank. Yeah. So this is what 99% of Russian kamikaze drones look like. They are cut out of sheet aluminium. Very, very roughly made. They don't even bother to like polish the edges. So the frame is always the same. It's even got these little OTK markings on, which is Soviet Union stuff. And they even have sometimes the stickers, the OTK stickers, which are literally from the Soviet Union. Very, very cheaply made. They get a load of university students to do the soldering here. And yeah, unfortunately they do work. This one's got a thermal camera in it. But then you also get this innovative stuff from the Russians. Obviously it crashed, so it didn't do its intended purpose. but this had a battery mounted here and a battery mounted underneath here. And because it's this single plate design, they actually had to put the batteries on different sides because of the propeller positioning. Because if you just tried to have the big battery just on top, the propellers would hit it. Yeah, so the Russians are coming up with some very interesting stuff. This, they call it Lightning. So these are the Russian one-way kamikaze drones. So it's just one of the wings. It has a big wooden body here in the middle. I mean, wood and, once again, foam. And yeah, it's called Lightning, and this is what they send into all of the civilian areas across the front lines. It can go about 30, 40 kilometers, and they just put a charge in there and just fly it. The navigation is not excellent on it, and yeah, it's just used to terrorize civilians. It's not very good as a weapon in terms of to fight military, because you can't really target anything with it. So yeah, they just load it up with a few kilos of explosives and fly it into residential buildings across the Kharkiv direction, and the rest of the front, of course. Every second that you're within 30 kilometers of the front line, you have an FPV drone in the sky. There's no other way to actually stop a drone apart from having a drone jammer. This can jam like 99% of Russian drones that are currently flying, and we can make them for $2,500, $3,000 bucks. They have it on the vehicles every day to stop FPV drones hitting their vehicles when they're driving around the front lines. So it's either die or have one of these on your roof.
Who do you think has the technological advantage at the moment?
I think the Ukrainians are a lot more flexible, but the Russians are definitely operating on a war economy. They have all of their factories turned over to this kind of drone production. They can make a lot more and a lot quicker, but there's not the kind of variations that we're coming out with. And yeah, I think especially when we're talking about something like an Interceptor, like every single day there are really small factories like ours that are trying to get it faster and faster and faster. And I had someone from the British side, I can't say exactly where, but was coming to me and saying, hey, we want this thing going 400 kilometers per hour. That doesn't exist right now. And now us, as a very small operation, are going to try and build the world's fastest drone interceptor, you know, out of a very, very small location.
And if you don't mind me asking, what sort of success rate do you have in terms of hits?
In terms of hits, an incredible amount. We've spent around about $1.5 million, but we've destroyed $500 million of Russian equipment. So yeah, I guess like 500 times return on investment from what we'd produced to the Russian equipment that's been destroyed.
And that's tanks, vehicles?
Yeah, so on video we have confirmed like 36, 37 tanks, but we have a list from the military that says we've destroyed over 100 tanks. But we're just like, if it's not visually confirmed, then we're not going to count it in our personal figures, because we believe you need a video for it. Destroyed a $25 million Tor-1 air defense system, you know. So many different targets, from air defense to tanks to blindages to yeah, radar equipment. It's just everything that needs to be hit across the front lines has been hit with our drones, thanks to Achilles, the 429th.